Hello, this is The Urban Learner by Samantha Ford. I believe everyone watching this lecture understands the fundamental need for education, and if that is not the case, then I urge you to discover it. So we will start with 3 questions. What does it take to teach today? Now, society is riddled with new information and limitless opportunities to receive this information. So what exactly does that mean for us as teachers? And what about for students? The objective for this lecture is to answer 4 questions about the specific needs of an urban learner and how to meet those needs. These questions will be on the last few slides. Before we can determine how to best teach an urban learner, it is important to decide on a holistic description of an urban learner in today's society. Today we will work with the following definition of an urban learner. An urban learner is a student who is subject to a set of needs characteristic of the urban environment they are raised in. What exactly does this mean? Absolutely nothing to you as a teacher. So why did I just define it? I defined it for specifically one purpose, to help you understand that adding a blanket label to a student will not help progress them educationally in the slightest. To really understand the specific needs of an urban learner, it is important for teachers to get to know their students and define the specific needs of each student. We're going to discuss some examples of the needs of urban learners, however. One of the most important considerations for urban learners are their physiological needs. These are hunger, sleep, and safety. Think about the last time you were hungry. What was the only thing on your mind in that instance? Food? Exactly. When we are hungry, that is the only thing we can usually focus on. Why is that? It's a biological necessity that we eat. Our bodies are telling us that it is time for us to find nourishment. So take a child who is hungry and place them in a classroom for 8 hours a day. What result do you expect for that child? Do you expect him or her to be able to focus on the information you're teaching? Or do you suspect that they might have a difficult time focusing with hunger on their mind? What about a tired child? A child whose parents both work late shifts and that has to watch their younger sibling at night until their parents get home. If a child cannot focus in class, the first question that should be asked isn't whether or not the student needs behavioral punishment. It should be, are their basic physiological needs met? What about a student that doesn't feel safe? What if a student gets to school and is still conflicted and confronted by the issues they have at home? Urban students have a higher percentage of hunger, lack of sleep, and domestic safety concerns than all other categories of students. What can we as teachers do to help? I believe that there are 3 ways to really make an impact on the urban learner in ways that they might not usually come into contact with. These are to first believe in them, second, don't ever give up on them, and third, be inventive with the material, take different avenues to teach them. It really might be just as simple as believing in a student and their abilities to see a dramatic change in them. There's a good chance that a student that fits into the category of urban learners has not received much good attention in their life up until they had a teacher like you. Good attention could refer to a lot of things, but for now we'll define it as attention that makes them feel good about him or herself as a person and their abilities as a student. Simply knowing that a teacher wants them to succeed and sees great things inside of a student could push them to try harder and do better on assignments. This extrinsic motivation could very likely turn into an intrinsic understanding that they are worthy of such belief and could change their outlook on themselves. Never, I mean never give up on a student. No matter how hard a student fights your encouragement and refuses to work, never give up on them. Some students can be difficult to work with. This isn't because they are bad kids or because they genuinely don't want to learn. A lot of the time, this can mean that the student doesn't get a lot of attention at home, and the only way they seem to receive attention is by acting out. Another example could be that the student is too tired or hungry to pay attention in class. This brings us back to our first point. If we show them we believe in them, and we are persistent and do not give up, a student could realize that pushing through the hunger and tiredness could reap rewards to bring them out of their current situation. Never give up, because the day you give up could have been the day of progress. A turning point in a student could be gradual, or it could be instant and drastic. It is important that we give every student the opportunity to learn and grow, even if it seems that they don't want it. Every student learns differently. There are some commonly known categories that educators like to shove students into, like visual, auditory, and kinesthetic. However, most students seem to be a mix of all three or just two, or a wide range of educational needs that can't even fit into these categories. So what does that mean for us as educators? Well, it means that we must diversify our teaching. Using different methods of describing the same material in a lesson can do wonders for student learning. Not only is information presented in different ways for different students to understand, but information is also repeated, and studies show that repetition leads to knowledge. If a student doesn't seem to be grasping knowledge based on PowerPoint lectures, present it in a different way. There are limitless possibilities. Matching games, teacher-led workshops, acting out scenarios, videos, drawing, group discussion. Be inventive. On the following slide is a video about different ways to teach the three most common types of learners.
Hi, I'm Kathy Cumming. Today we're talking about teaching to different learning styles. In your role as a teacher, have you struggled over how to get your message across to visual, auditory, and kinesthetic learners? In the following teaching demonstration, we illustrate how the use of several techniques helps you to accomplish this. First, we're going to be talking about kinesthetic learners. What's a kinesthetic learner? Well, a kinesthetic learner is someone who needs to participate in hands-on activities. Sitting for long periods of time and watching just visuals and just listening is something that's very difficult for the kinesthetic learner.
Hi, I'm Jeremy, and I'm a kinesthetic learner. I had to do hands-on activities, and PowerPoint just don't cut it.
Some of the techniques that you can use when teaching kinesthetic learners are demonstrating how a principle works, ask a student to practice the technique, encourage underlining and highlighting keywords when taking notes, provide real-life simulation situations, offer hands-on activities, and involve students physically.
Hi, I'm Nick. I'm a kinesthetic learner. I learn best with hands-on. Being able to take things apart is how I learn best.
You'll often find visual learners in the front of your classroom. They need to be away from distractions.
Hi, my name is Stewie. I'm a visual learner, and having images and notes on PowerPoint slide help me learn.
Some of the ways to teach visual learners are by writing things. So provide lots of written materials and exercises that require writing, notes, those kinds of things. Write keywords on the blackboard or flip chart and ask them to write a response. Make sure that you use visuals or graphics. Ask a visual learner to be the recorder in a group. Involve them through visual and spatial activities. Auditory learners use mnemonics and auditory repetition to help them learn. They often practice saying out loud things that they've heard in class whenever they're studying for exams.
I'm Sarah. I'm an auditory learner. I learn through listening. Listening to discussion and explanation during a PowerPoint helps me learn.
The best way to teach auditory learners is to say it. State the information. Ask your students to describe specific information. Provide discussion periods for students. Encourage questions. Foster small group participation. Some students are a combination of all three learning styles, kinesthetic, visual, and auditory. This gives you the opportunity to try all kinds of different activities in class. That way you're sure to reach all of your learners.
Hi, I'm Margie. I'm a combination of all three. I need to see, hear, and do.
The student with multiple learning styles gives you an opportunity to try the following: student-led question and answer sessions, panels, debates, research gathering tasks, student feedback sessions, presentations, having students give you anonymous comments and critiques, guest speakers, field trips, and assignments that feel real to students. are all ways that we can make class time more interesting and reach all student learning styles. So in conclusion, to reach multiple learning styles, write it, say it, and do it. Your students will thank you.
What is an example of a common need of an urban learner? A. More time in class for assignments. B. More sleep at night. C. A seat up in the front near the board. D. Partner work to help subsidize teacher instruction. The answer to this question is B. One physiological concern for the urban learner is the amount of rest they are getting when they are outside of school. What is the definition of an urban learner as described in the lecture? A. A student who scores lower on tests and has more behavioral issues than the other students in the class. B. A student who is subject to a set of needs characteristic of the urban environment they are raised in. The answer to this question is B. An urban learner will have concerns based on their urban environment. Why is it important to model our teaching towards the learning style of the student? What are some ways that teachers have or have not adapted to your needs as a student? And what is your mission as a teacher of the urban learner? What are your goals? These questions are free response. I believe it is important for us to decide this for ourselves and really develop our own philosophy when it comes to our own personal teaching style. Feel free to pause the video so that you can think about your responses.